Of this morning session, Professor Pillai, Shri Narendra Yadav, Member Planning Commission, His Excellency Minister from Bhutan, Mr. Salil Bhandari of the ASSOCHAM, distinguished delegates to this summit, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to be with you here this morning on this very important subject where we are talking about building partnerships for the purpose of education and looking at global experiences. At this juncture, in the second decade of the 21st century, when we, as Mr. Bhandari just mentioned, we have talked very often about our demographic dividend, and I do not propose to belabor that point. I think it's self-evident that such a large democratic nation, and a young nation to boot, we do have to contend with these numbers. All solutions, all issues that we look to have to be scalable if they have to be at all meaningful. And therefore, the opportunity to share experiences across the globe, to see what we need to learn from other parts of the world is an opportunity that we cannot afford to miss. I think also any conglomeration of policymakers, education leaders, international development agencies, communities of practice, academia, will need to, as this body here today will need to seriously examine issues that are being thrown up in the global context to be able to meaningfully address issues that we confront in India. We, as you all know, are completely focused on the three objectives in the 11th plan of equity, access, quality, and as an overarching theme of governance reform. The objective of all these is to see that larger and larger numbers of people get through quality education. You are aware that the National Policy on Education 1986, with the Plan of Action of 1992, places education, and subsequently all judicial pronouncements, place education as a public merit good, not for profit, and places a huge responsibility on the public sector to deliver education to all seekers with a desirable mandate of reaching 6% of GDP to the education sector as a whole. The Prime Minister, while he was addressing a convocation of a leading higher education institution, recently had said, our global, and I quote, our global competitiveness will depend on our continued ability to produce top quality manpower at all levels of the knowledge pyramid in adequate numbers. The needs are enormous, and the government will do its part to facilitate investment in these areas, unquote. Educational institutions have also been exhorted to prepare our youth to the challenge of the present times, and therefore, in the context of a globalized world where change is the only constant. While we are poised for 8-9% rate of growth, in the course of the 12th plan, maybe 9% plus rate of growth, we do have this daunting task of putting through an additional 45 million students through the higher education system. And therefore, we need to look back to be able to look ahead. 1 year on from the time that the Right to Education Act was made operational, we know that the numbers of of children who drop out of the school system and who drop out at the end of school is still much, much too high for comfort. Only 36% of school leavers actually make it for higher education. When we talk about universalization of primary education, universalization of secondary education, and improvement in the gross enrollment ratio from the present 12 to 13% to about 30% over the next decade and up to about 25% in the next plan period. We are looking at these numbers, and we are also looking at strategies which will enable us to ensure that this unconscionable dropout rate at every level of the education continuum is not allowed to continue. It is in this context that all the interventions of the 11th plan need to be looked at. The various committee reports, I do not wish to belabor the point again, the National Knowledge Commission, the Yashpal Committee, and many more committees appointed by the Ministry of Human Resource Development have also helped steer our thinking in the direction of what strategies will be appropriate for the purpose of universalizing or enhancing the reach of higher education. And here, as Mr. Bhandari just mentioned, first and foremost, the concept of the overarching integrated regulatory system, which will enable education to be looked at in its holistic form rather than its fragments, which has enormous deleterious consequences for quality knowledge and quality education. A system based on self-disclosure rather than inspections and verifications. And this is a theme that runs right across our reform processes that have been set in motion. A system of quality assurance and third-party verification so that students and guardians of students are able to assure themselves of the quality of education and the quality of infrastructure that they are putting their wards under. Laying a very low threshold of tolerance for unfair practice and governance malpractice is another theme that runs right across our reform agenda. And this, knowing how educational institutions in the past have very often made short shrift of the education policy, and the fact that judicial pronouncements militate against any capitation fee, this is a law that is on the anvil. We propose to finally take it to Parliament. These are already legislations pending before Parliament, but now we hope to be able to take them to the final legislation round in the forthcoming session of Parliament. A slew of governance reform measures focused on the student. Academic reforms, curriculum reforms, teacher-student ratio reforms, these all targeting the welfare of the entire knowledge community and looking at students not as in the teacher-learner, teacher-student dichotomy, but in the continuum of junior learner and a senior learner, and enabling a multicultural campus experience through the facilitation of foreign education providers, regulating their entry so as to ensure again quality education. And finally, and most importantly, an inclusive model of education incorporating needs of underprivileged and marginalized sections. And for this, the necessary reforms and amendments in existing legislation, reforms in regulations, reforms in the business of practice. when we are looking at sharing governance and practice worldwide, I think the experience of India in equitable access of education, while we have a long distance to travel, but the strategies that have been adopted, the mechanisms that have been put in place, I think bear some repetition, which we could compare with countries across the world and see where we need to improve further. But I think on the whole, we feel that we are amongst those who have attempted, looking at the differential access ratios that prevail. Obviously, we are not successful as yet, but the attempts have continued and have been very, very serious-minded all along. With this backdrop of our achievements and our efforts in the 11th plan, we are poised, sir, although the Member Education Planning Commission is here, he's the final word on education as we will be looking at it in the 12th plan. I will only mention some of the things that from the ministry we are looking at, and we've been in constant discussion with the Planning Commission. And I'd like to highlight some of the main issues that we